In our last lesson, we learned about the different types of angles. There are four types of angles. Again, we have a right angle. It looks like a perfect square corner or the letter L. An acute angle, which is open less than a right angle. And an obtuse angle, which is open more than a right angle, but less than a straight line. And a straight angle, which is basically a straight line. Remember that they have arrows showing that it can go on forever in those two directions. Today we're going to learn how to measure angles using a protractor. As you can see here, I have a protractor. There are different kinds, but they all work pretty much the same. As you look at this protractor, you notice that there are numbers on there, and there's actually two sets of numbers. On this inner side here, you see 0, and then it goes 10, 20, 30, and it goes all the way around. Then you notice it says 180. It's kind of hard to see there. Let me move this out of the way. Notice it says 180 right there. Okay. The second set of number does the same thing, but they're on the outer part, and the 0 starts over here, and it goes 10, 20, 30, 40, and it goes all the way around. Notice that the 90s on both line up together, and all the way around and back over here, and again you have your 180 again. Okay, there's two sets of numbers because angles can be pointing in different directions, so that you can use either side or either set to measure an angle. But it's important to know the difference of the different types of angles that there are to make it easier to measure them. Okay, why don't we start with a straight angle? We all know what a straight angle looks like. And in the last lesson, I told you that a straight angle equals 180 degrees. So let me prove that to you by moving my protractor over top of it. Now, in the last lesson, we didn't discuss what it's called, where two rays meet, what it's called, but it's called a vertex. So where the two endpoints meet is a vertex. If you look on this protractor right here, this point right here is where you always want to put the vertex. And you always want to try to have at least one of your rays lined up on that bottom line. So again, I'm going to put this down here. And you can see that it goes right to the 180 on this side and the 180 on that side. That's why a straight line or a straight angle equals 180 degrees. It's saying from here to all the way around to over here equals 180 degrees. Okay? Let's take a look at another angle. One of the things that I always like to teach my students first is always try to identify what type of angle it is first before you go and measure it. So if you look here behind this protractor, there is an angle here. Okay, can you remember what that angle is called? Looks like a perfect letter L or a corner. If you said a right angle, you are correct. Okay, as you can see, I have where the two rays meet to make the angle. Right there on that spot that I showed you in the previous angle we were working on. Now look here. You notice that there is a 0 here and a 180. Okay. As you look up here, both of these numbers say 90 because this angle, this right angle, equals 90 degrees. Okay, pretty easy, pretty straightforward with right angles and straight angles. It gets a little tricky when we work with acute angles and obtuse. So let's take a look at an acute angle and measuring it with a protractor. Again, you should always start off by identifying what type of angle it is. I kind of gave it away already that it's an acute angle. All right, so again, one of the rays is lined up on this bottom line. Where both of the rays meet is the vertex, and they're still right there in that spot. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When I look up, I have this top one on two different numbers, a 20 and a 160. I have to decide which number to use. Okay, so what I like again is for you guys to think about what type of angle it is. We know it's an acute angle. We know that an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So is 20 less than 90 degrees, or is 160 less than 90 degrees? The answer would be 20 is less. So you have to use the inside numbers. Because my angle is facing this way, the two arrows are facing this side, I'm going to use the inner numbers. But that's hard to remember sometimes. So if I identify the angle as acute, I know that the answer has to be less than 90 degrees. I'm going to take this same angle and flip it. Okay. I know it's an acute angle. I still have it on that bottom line. Still have the two endpoints where the rays meet, which creates a vertex right here. All right, but notice where the 20 is on this. It's on the outside. Because my angle is facing in this direction, I have to use the outside numbers. Again, that's kind of hard to remember sometimes. But because I know it's an acute angle, I know that my answer has to be less than 90 degrees. So I know to use the 20 degrees instead of the 160 degrees. Now let's take a look at an obtuse angle. Okay, here's my obtuse angle. The vertex is right there. One of my rays is on the bottom line. I know already that an obtuse angle has to be more than 90 degrees. So when I look up here, I see a 50 and I see a 130. Which number is more than 90 degrees? The 130 is. So in this particular case, again, my arrows are pointing that way, so I'm using the inside numbers. Again, that could be hard to remember, so knowing what type of angle it is helps me with that. And that is how you measure angles. Let's go back and just mess around with the protractor at the top. Let's take a look at this one. I'm going to move this out of the way. Sorry, you might not have this type of protractor, but you can move this and you can see when I put it here, it'll tell you how many degrees it is. Notice that from here all the way around it here is 150 degrees. Why is it not 30? Because this is an obtuse angle and it has to be more than 90 degrees. Again, I can take this and put it all the way up to the 90, make me a 90-degree angle. And in this case, either number will work because they both say 90. Okay, and that is how you use a protractor to measure angles. Replay this video as much as you need to practice this.